Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Me. Brolly, join the chat group Traverse to become the legendary hero of Dragon Ball Super, Brolly. Decades without training, only fighting with ***, normal suspension of Super League, angry suspension of Super Red, Super League suspension of Super Blue, tied with Wujita Super League, and passing mode can even play a few moves against Super Blue Wujita. In addition, he also joined Chat Junyang. Ding. The legendary Super Saiyan, join the chat ***. Ding. Valkyrie, join the chat ***. Join the Fairyland legend and start the Dusk of the Gods. Leave Wampa Star early, participate in a power conference, unleash Fura, use Rage Hammer Jillian, and spread chaos to kill randomly. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. 1. The legendary Super Saiyan, join the chat group. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Seventh Universe. Wanpaxing. A black-haired man with bare upper body, revealing muscles and scars, is carrying a pile of monster eggs and returning to his lair. He is Broglie. He is also a traveler. Half an hour ago, Broglie woke up from confusion. He found himself crossing over. Traversing has become the strongest Saiyan, Broglie, who goes out to pick eggs. Oh, that's not right. Perhaps it would be better to describe it as memory awakening. It can be understood that he awakened the memories of his past life. He has a burly figure and a handsome appearance. Surrounded by green fur around the waist. There is something similar to a collar around the neck. My body is covered in scars. Even the left cheek has one. This makes his temperament quite rugged. When he found out that he had crossed into Broglie, his heart was filled with joy and joy. Broglie, the strongest Saiyan officially appointed by Dragon Ball. How strong is talent really? It's hard to imagine. Mutated primitive Saiyan, true Saiyan. It can also be called the legendary Super Saiyan. Broglie was born with a combat power of 10,000, and his starting point surpassed the endpoint of countless ordinary people. Even anger can make Sun Wukong cry when he was a child. And as age increases, even without exercise, combat effectiveness is still improving. In the theatrical version, Broglie, who has only been battling beasts for decades, is now able to shoot Sun Wukong and Vegeta's Super Blue in a super game state. Transforming into a green hair transmission Super can fully suppress the Super Sai Wujita, and only when Wujita becomes Super Blue can he be suppressed in the opposite direction. Fight while getting stronger. And one thing to note is, the timeline for the theatrical version is after the power conference. Will Sun Wukong and Vegeta not practice for such a long time? It can be said that the theatrical version is Super Blue, far surpassing the resurrected Fraser and power conference versions of Super Blue. But even so, Broglie can easily hang them up and play just by having a super match. It can be imagined how abnormal his talent is. Pinched his fist. Bang! The air seemed to be pinched and burst into a sonic boom. Feeling the power contained within my muscular body. Broglie's usually expressionless face couldn't help but smile. At present, he only has an angry form. That is to say, using the power of the great ape during human history. The Super Series has not yet started. The Super Series was later opened in the theatrical version because my father was killed by Fraser. But don't underestimate Broglie just because of this. Is it not a common occurrence to regularly hang out in the Super Series and angrily hang out in the Super Series? You should know that the initial Super Race God was already able to explode the universe with 3 punches against Billis. Not to mention the later stage. Isn't he still hanging the hammer? Even if it were replaced with Power Assembly or the previous Super Blue, Broglie was confident in fighting against it. The stronger the Vietnam War, the more one cultivates. In the end, it's not impossible to just hang and hit Super Blue in anger form. This is the legendary terrifying combat talent of the super and strongest Saiyan people. Being able to travel through time and become such a person, Brolly naturally couldn't be too happy. The only thing that's a bit uncomfortable is that the food eaten on Wampa Star is really hard to swallow. Only eggs, monster eggs. Just now Brolly tasted it. Emotions are complex. Whether eaten raw or cooked, it tastes very unpleasant. Wait for the Fraser Legion to receive a distress signal. Ding. Wujita chat group invites you to join. Do you agree? Brolly suddenly stopped, frowned, turned around, and burst into flames, his height and muscles rising slightly. There seems to be a golden pattern appearing around the pupils. The whole planet is full of wind and clouds. Who? No one responded to him. Wujita chat group. Brolly was initially deadlocked for a while. Immediately, the breath gradually converged. Recalling some novels I have read in my past life. He regained his composure and sat on the large stone to the side, his gaze deep. Agree, ding. The legendary Super Saiyan, join the chat group. Ding. Valkyrie, join the chat group. Chinyan Witch Absinthe. Welcome newcomers. I am not the school flower. Welcome girl group, go. The strongest hero on the surface. Welcome newcomers, welcome, warm welcome. Blood red chili pepper. Welcome newcomers, welcome, warm welcome. I'm not the school flower. It seems like something strange has mixed in, King sang. Why are you inside? The strongest hero on the surface. Ahem, haha, don't worry about these details, I can also join the cheerleading team. Valkyrie. Wait. What is this? A artifact. Why did it suddenly appear in my mind? Chinyan Witch Absinthe. Newcomer, divine tools cannot be used in the chat group of Wujita. Valkyrie. What do you mean? Valkyrie. I'm getting increasingly confused. I am not the school flower. At Valkyrie, are you Brunhild? The Wujita chat group, as the name suggests, is a chat group that includes members from different worlds. I am not the school flower. If your world's artifacts cannot achieve this, then it is probably not worthy of being compared to the chat groups of the world. Ding. Group member, I'm not the school flower, answers questions for newcomers and rewards 300 points. I'm not the school flower. Nice. There's such a reward. Amazing. Blood red chili pepper. Wow, do these all have point rewards? Chinyan Witch Absinthe. It seems that we all need to fight for it in the future. Valkyrie. And I'm not the school flower, I'm Brunhild. So, is that what Wujita chat group means? Valkyrie. It encompasses all worlds. Everyone comes from different worlds. Valkyrie. So, is there a god in the group? I am not the school flower. M. There is no wood. The strongest hero on the surface. Where's the other newcomer? It shouldn't be either. The group nickname has a human character, even though it's a Saiyan, it's a strange race that I've never heard of before. Blood red chili pepper. At the legendary Super Saiyan, newcomer, hello. Are you there? Are you there? Are you a god? Two divine conferences, the end of humanity. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chinyan Witch Absinthe. Does it come out to make a bubble? Can you introduce yourself? The legendary Super Saiyan. Well, hello everyone, my name is Brolly, not a god. After finishing this sentence, Brolly turned his gaze to the group member list. Compared to getting to know each other individually, it is more convenient to simply look at the list of group members. Currently known group members. I am not the school flower, the thousand-faced witch Absinthe, the strongest hero on the surface, the Valkyrie, or the legendary Super Saiyan, me, Brolly knows half of these people. Thousand-Faced Witch Absinthe, Detective Conan, Belmerd. Blood Red Chili Peppers, the mother of Naruto in Naruto, and Kushina Naruto. King, the Saitama summoner in One Punch Superman, is the presence of the bald demon king with 2 fingers. I don't know for now that the Valkyrie and I are not school beauties. Brunhild. Is it the ultimate Valkyrie? Brolly thought for a moment. I have heard of it, but I have not seen it. It is said to be a battle between humans and gods, which sounds quite interesting. As for the latter, it is most likely the legendary daughter of fate. Qianyan Witch Absinthe. Hey, why can the newcomer behave so calmly? I'm not the school flower. Maybe it's because his name is Broglie, right? The strongest hero on the surface. Miss Chu, do you know who the newcomer is? I'm not the school flower. I know, Saya. About Brolly. Chu Mengshi doesn't actually know much about it. I only know the name of a legendary Super Saiyan, but I have no idea what exactly it represents. After all, she doesn't even know much about Dragon Balls. And now she is in this world. Although the entertainment aspect is similar to the previous life, there are basically everything that should be available. But unfortunately, there is no Dragon Ball. Chu Mengshi has just searched, who knows why. The strongest hero on the surface. Is there any difference between what you said and what you didn't say? I'm not the school flower. No, but I don't know either. Valkyrie. These are not the main points, as long as they are not gods. Qianyan Witch Absinthe. Wait. I've always had a question, Valkyrie. In a way, you're also a god. Why do you have such great hostility towards gods? Valkyrie. I am half human and half divine. I have been raised in the human world since I was young. Do you understand? Qianyan Witch Absinthe. I understand. It's probably another tragedy of human relationships, being looked down upon by the gods, which leads to not liking the gods. Well, that should be it. Valkyrie said, the gods are high above me. I look down on this and that. Sooner or later, I will have humans pull them down from the altar. Belmud touched his chin and thought to himself that it was indeed what he had in mind. The strongest hero on the surface. It's a bit unrealistic for humans to fight against gods, Ms. Bren. Valkyrie. I have this idea, and of course, I have already considered reality. The upcoming Divine Conference will be my opportunity. The legendary Super Saiyan. The Council of Gods. What is that? I'm not the school flower. Oh. Brolly. The legendary Super Saiyan. Hello. So what is the Divine Conference? Valkyrie. The Divine Conference, held by the gods every 1,000 years, is used to determine whether humanity will end. Valkyrie. Destruction or survival is determined by a voting system. The legendary Super Saiyan, I understand. The strongest hero on the surface. Are they all gods? Valkyrie. Yes. The strongest hero on the surface. Wow, then the gods are too domineering, right? Is it just one issue that determines the survival of the entire human community? Blood Red Chili Pepper. It sounds like a bunch of garbage gods. Valkyrie. Yes, that's why I decided to take this opportunity to give them the twilight of the gods. Qianyan Witch Absinthe. If it were me, I would definitely give them a bullet. Blood Red Chili Pepper. Female martial god, mighty and dominant. The legendary Super Saiyan. So what do you mean by the opportunity you just mentioned? Valkyrie. There is a rule called the Fairyland Legend in the Divine Council. The gods and humans compete 1.1 against each other, with 13 people from each faction. The first to win 7 times wins, and if humans win 7 times, they can continue for another 1,000 years. As for whether the Conference of Gods will decide to let humans live, this option is not within Brunhild's scope of consideration. Over the years, she has been observing the thoughts of the gods. So she had anticipated the voting results early on. As expected, Brunhild just gave an explanation in the chat group. The divine conference outside has ended. The gods have decided to destroy humanity. As the divine king, Zeus is about to strike the hammer of judgment. Without hesitation, Brunhild appeared in the passage and shouted loudly. Stop! Dragon Ball World! Brolly looked at the Wujita chat group and nodded clearly. He had only heard of the final Valkyrie in his previous life. I watched some clips, not all of them. The specific settings or plot development are unknown. With this explanation, he can know everything. I just don't know the strength of these gods. Maybe I can use this to familiarize myself with this power and help the humans in that world. The most legendary Super Saiyan. When will the divine conference end? Valkyrie. It's over, I've opened the Fairyland legend. The strongest hero on the surface. Blood red chili peppers. I am not the school flower. Chinyan witch absinthe. The strongest hero on the surface. Wait, why did it start so quickly? Absolutely. Blood red chili pepper. It's really outrageous. I just finished explaining it. Valkyrie. The movement of the Divine Council is very fast. Before Zeus can capture the Hammer of Judgment, I must unlock the legend of Fairyland. I am not the school bell. Although I was a bit surprised at first, upon careful consideration, I bear the fate of human life and death, and it is normal to hold on to a second. In this group of 3, I am the strongest. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Valkyrie. Ah. The next step is to find the strongest 13 people to fight in the 7 million year history of humanity. Valkyrie. At the strongest hero on the surface, your name should be very impressive. Do you mind helping humans? I will provide you with artifacts. The strongest hero on the surface. Blood red chili pepper. King dare not speak anymore. His title as the strongest hero on the surface is completely nominal, even I can't beat him. Humph. The strongest hero on the surface. The strongest hero on the surface. At least I can be considered an old group member. Can you give me some face in front of the new people? The legendary Super Saiyan said, you don't have the demeanor of a strong person when it comes to speaking and doing things. I've long felt that you're not very strong. The strongest hero on the surface. Is it so obvious? Valkyrie. So it's like this. I understand. I am not the school flower. Rather than seeking help from King, it is better to sign in more before the legend of Fairyland begins, and the points obtained may come in handy. Valkyrie. Check in. Points. I'm not the school bell. Oh, I forgot to explain to you that points are the currency of our group. You can do whatever you want, enhance your strength or beautify your appearance, and check that IN is currently one of the ways we earn points in our group. Daily check that IN looks like 1.100 points. Valkyrie. Magical thing, I'll try it out. The legendary Super Saiyan. I'll try it too. Group member Valkyrie successfully checks in, rewards 49 points, Valkyrie. 49 o'clock, is it more or less? I am not the school flower. No more, no less. Blood red chili pepper. Woo woo, there's a lot for me. I only signed in at 28 o'clock today. Tearful eyes. JPG, the strongest hero on the surface. I'm okay, it's 47 o'clock. Group member, Legendary Super Saiyan, successfully checked in and received a reward of 99 points, I am not the school flower. Blood red chili peppers. The strongest hero on the surface. Thousand-faced witch absinthe. Valkyrie. Amazing. The legendary Super Saiyan said, I think so too. Valkyrie. This newcomer who joined the group with me is not at all humble. I am not the school flower. Not humble. I should say simplicity, right? Brolly is very simple. Broy's face showed a smile. Simplicity. That's right. But that was the previous Broy. He is brand new now. I am not the school belle. Besides, don't underestimate Broy. As a Saiyan, he is very strong. The strongest hero on the surface. So what race is the Saiyan people? I am not the school flower. I won't say it, just a little bit, Valkyrie. It seems that there are prophets-like beings in the group. I am not a school flower. I am not a prophet, I can only flip through novels, comics, and movies, and I may not be able to find them, nor may I have them. Sigh, my world is not peaceful either. Chinyan witch absinthe. Actually, I can also search for comics or something, but I usually don't have time. I'm not the school belle. Well, this isn't really a special ability, is it? Valkyrie. Novels. Comics. So, are we all virtual? Brunhild's 3 views were intimidated. They are gods. I'm not the school belle. Pooh, don't daydream. What's virtual but not virtual? Just look at your family, friends, and environment, and you'll know. Chinyan witch absinthe. So what, not so what, joining the Wujita chat group makes everything different. Valkyrie. Valkyrie. I thought too much. Valkyrie. You're right. Blood red chili pepper. TSK, she is indeed a Valkyrie. She accepted it so easily. The strongest hero on the surface. This is not something that is difficult to accept, right? It can be understood as a virtual character or your world being recorded by someone. Anyway, I prefer the latter. Valkyrie. It seems that everyone is open-minded. Valkyrie. I accept reality now, let's turn the topic back. Valkyrie. Even if I have magical points, I still want to extend a sincere invitation to all of you. It is not easy for you to join the Wujita chat group. I can offer all of my points in exchange for your help. Ding. Group member, female martial god issues a bounty mission, to defeat any deity, reward. 49 points plus unknown, dangerous difficulty. Extremely difficult, simple, ordinary, difficult, extremely difficult, unable to complete, task privilege. This is a solo task, and after receiving it, you can freely travel back and forth to the world where the group member, Valkyrie, is located. I am not the school flower. The strongest hero on the surface. Mission system. It feels more and more like a game. Blood red chili pepper. Oh my god, is the danger level so high? Ding. Group member, the legendary Super Saiyan has received a bounty mission issued by the Valkyrie. I am not the school flower. Valkyrie. Do you take on missions without even understanding the gods? The legendary Super Saiyan said, don't worry, I'm very strong. Valkyrie. How strong is it? The legendary Super Saiyan. In this chat group, I am the strongest, slightly stronger than you all. Although it is currently unknown how strong the deities among the ultimate Valkyrie are. But for the chat group members, Broy had a clear idea in his mind. Saying that they are only 1 billion points stronger than them is all a matter of humility. We can't be any more humble, but this is still a concern for the self-esteem of the group members. In short, if you have to choose one to go to battle. He felt that he must be out of place. Blood red chili pepper. Wow, Brolly, you're so talkative. I'm a ninja, I know ninjutsu. The legendary Super Saiyan. I know. Blood red chili pepper. Ah. Do you know? Then let me not say. 4. The Madness of Broglie, the Arrival of the Fleisan Legion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Blood red chili pepper. At Valkyrie, Sister Brunhild, how strong are the gods in your world? If everything is average, maybe I can come on stage and help. Valkyrie. No, you're still far behind them. Valkyrie. After all, gods are still gods, far from being comparable to ninjas. Don't cause trouble, little girl. Blood red chili. Slightly, I have graduated from ninja school, not a little girl anymore. The strongest hero on the surface. Actually, when you see the difficulty of the mission, you should understand a lot. Even if the gods in Miss Bren's world are very weak, they are not something we can compete with. I hope the Broglie people are okay. I am not the school flower. Don't worry, I believe Broglie can kill the gods. The legendary Super Saiyan. At Valkyrie, when will the first battle begin? I am looking forward to fighting the gods. Valkyrie. Starting tomorrow. Valkyrie. Today, I will take advantage of the time to gather the remaining 12 people. The legendary Super Saiyan. No need, don't go find the remaining 12. Valkyrie. Ah. The legendary Super Saiyan said, just let me appear first. If the gods can defeat me, then it's useless for anyone to come from behind. The legendary Super Saiyan. On the contrary, if the gods are too weak, I will help you complete the twilight of the gods. For one's own strength. Broglie has 100% confidence. Valkyrie. Brunhild was stunned. There was a hint of amazement in her jewel-like eyes. For these 2 sentences from Brolly. She only has one feeling. That's crazy. This guy is too crazy. But for some unknown reason. He is so crazy that people can believe him. I'm not the school flower. Wow, these 2 sentences, I'm going to ignite. I'm not the school belle. Although it's crazy. But being crazy can be a kind of handsome. Blood red chili peppers. Burn it. Chakra. The strongest hero on the surface. I'm also boiling with passion. If it weren't for my weak strength, I would really want to participate in the war. With my human body, the god of war is wise. Valkyrie. I didn't mean to ruin the party, Brolly. I can't gamble with the fate of all humanity. The legendary Super Saiyan said, feel free, I have no chance of losing. This sentence suddenly choked Brunhild, who wanted to say something again. Xiong Er is a bit bored and doesn't know what to say. Gray, the youngest of Brunhild's dozen sisters, found her sister's abnormality and couldn't help asking, Sister Hilda, what's wrong with you? Brunhild's heart was filled with a sense of silence, but in the end, he could only sigh, it's okay, we only need to select 12 strong ones next. 12. Isn't it 13, sister? Ah, yes, but there is already a candidate for the first place. The other party should be very strong, able to be chosen by the older sister. Strong. Who knows? Brunhild has never seen anything at all. However, the task was assigned by her. The only thing that can be done is to believe. The legendary Super Saiyan said, the legend of Fairyland has officially begun. Let's leave if there's anything else. After saying this sentence, Broglie closed the Wujita chat group. As for how others evaluate him, he doesn't care. As a Saiyan, what's wrong with being a little crazy? Saiyan people are just going crazy. Except for Sun Wukong, who is silly and only knows how to wave, is Vegeta not a combination of madness and waves? Just a prince, proud and terrifying, let alone this legendary Saiyan. Broglie is gradually becoming familiar with his identity as a Saiyan. Innocence and simplicity should not be synonymous with him. Picking up the monster egg, he jumped down from the stone and landed on the ground, cracking 2 large pits. He slowly walked towards the nest where he lived. Don't go back again. Paragas should press the electric shock now. Thinking of this, Brolly glanced at the collar on his neck, with a hint of coldness in his eyes, but could only hide it deeply. Paragas, it is the father who wants to control him. Others are deceiving their fathers, they are deceiving their sons. From the beginning, the purpose of raising him was to retaliate against King Vegeta. Emotions. Broglie is not the naive and silly person he used to be. He's not a big filial son. What kind of bullshit feelings do you have towards this father who has been extremely cruel to you from childhood to adulthood? However, it is also normal that the Saiyan people in the 7th universe are such a cruel race. It can be seen from Vegeta's decisive killing of Naba, who grew up together from childhood to adulthood. Only a few can generate emotions. Like Sun Wukong's father Badak, who sent Sun Wukong away at the last moment. However, Rao was still roasted by his wife, Jenny, that he was not a Saya at all. It can be imagined that no family, or friendship can compare to interests and strength in the hearts of Saiyan people. In the eyes of Paragas today, revenge is more important than Broglie. And Broglie was his tool for revenge. If it were his predecessor, foolish filial piety, now Broglie naturally cannot have feelings for him. Find a way to remove this collar. Broglie gently tugged at the collar, thinking to himself. Just as he was thinking about these things, a cry for help is coming. Broglie. Broglie's eyes froze and he immediately threw away the monster egg in his hand, reflexively running towards the call for help. Step on the ground with 1 foot. Bang. Like an earthquake, a huge pit was stepped on the ground. Bang. 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 Broglie himself, on the other hand, shot out with a shell-like roar, and the sound of explosions breaking through the sound barrier kept ringing out. Almost in an instant, he has crossed most of the planets. With a deep gaze, Broglie could see a spaceship landing in front of the nest. And there is a monster nearby. And 3 people. Except for the disheveled old man Paragas. There is also a woman with light green skin and short white hair. And a short old man with earthy yellow skin. If I remember correctly. One is named Silai, and the other is named Remo. Is the timeline here? About this book, some settings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This book is updated 4 times a day. If you add more, it usually depends on your mood or data. Let's not mention fixed conditions. It's possible to have 2,000 flowers, 1,000 flowers, or 500 or 800 evaluation votes, both of which are possible. In addition, there are some settings related to the legendary Super Saiyan people. In fact, the new version of Broglie has already removed the setting for this pass. There is no legendary Super Saiyan mode. I know all about this, so a rigorous Dragon Ball enthusiast should take care of it. But highlight the protagonist's uniqueness. I have decided to continue using the old Broglie pass mode. Plus the terrifying talent of the new version of Broglie. Not to mention anything else, this title is quite intimidating. Anyone who wants to join the Wujita chat group can say so in the book review section. Movies, novels, animations, comics, or animated films are also acceptable. Movies are like Marvel. Novels are commonly known as fantasy. I understand animation, but obscure ones like Ben 10, Parasitic Beasts, Dororo. There is so much talk about animated movies, such as Kung Fu Panda, Frozen, Superman Story, and so on. I feel like no one has written about them before. If you want to watch them, I can write and watch them. That's all for the things that need to be explained temporarily. Please ask for flowers and evaluation tickets. Thank you. 5. The Death of Paragas, a Good Death. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. According to the current plot, it should be the Fleisan Legion recruiting troops. Saiyan and Remo detected the distress signal transmitted by Paragas using the spacecraft, so they rushed to the planet Wampa to prepare to take Paragas and Brolly away. Suddenly, Brolly thought of something. Halt down abruptly and stop moving forward. Why did he go to save Paragas? Far away. Paragas, with wrinkles on his face and white hair and beard, was running away and seeking help. The little monster chased relentlessly behind. Fight. Go fight. Zly ran and gritted his teeth while shouting, occasionally shooting back a few shots, but it was obviously useless. Remo was also shouting, "Don't you have 4,200 combat power? You're still a Saiyan. Go kill this monster." Paragas is a bit difficult to talk about. He has long neglected training in these years. Among the surviving Saiyan people today, he is the most useless one. How could it possibly defeat this little monster? Brolly. Brolly. Paragas can only keep asking for help. I am extremely anxious in my heart. Shout with me, you too. Saiyan gasped for breath and said, "What are you shouting? Who is Brolly?" "It's my son, just call him over and we'll be saved." After saying these words, Paragas continued to shout Brolly's name. Seeing this, Saiyan and Remo had no choice but to shout along. However, Brolly did not come out, and the voices of the three of them attracted two more small monsters along the way. This wave is a three-sided pincer attack. "Hey, what should I do? Your son hasn't come out." Saiyan picked up the pistol and kept bicubiabubiu. He shouted with a slight breakdown on one side. "What is the situation? You can't even kill a small monster. How did you survive on this planet?" Compared to Zly, Remo, the words spoken should be more irritable. After all, he is already old. "After a while of rushing, my physical strength gradually bottomed out." Paragas also gritted his teeth and looked nervous. How did he know what the situation was? Normally, if you just shout, Brolly will definitely appear. Who knows what happened today? Is there something wrong? But over the past decade or so, they have already touched the star of Wampa clearly. There is no guy on this planet who can threaten Brolly's life, Paragas can be certain. So what exactly is the situation? A bad idea is rising in Paragas's heart. This caused him to lose his temper and his pace to be slightly disrupted. "I accidentally stepped on a stone by the roadside and fell down, rolling 3 times on the ground." 3 small monsters rushed forward when they saw the situation. Paragas crawls incessantly, but how can he compare to the little monsters? In no time, he was caught up with. In great fear, he opened his waist bag, took out the electric shock, and prepared to press it down. However, the little monsters had already grabbed it and swung it hard. "Ah! Brolly!" The electric shock in his hand fell and Paragas roared in fear. Saiyan and Remo showed a look of fear on their faces constantly trembling. But he didn't dare to relax at all, instead accelerating again. Soon, the fearful roar behind turned into a painful roar. "Brolly! Brolly! Brolly!" In no time, the 3 little monsters tore Paragas in half, and their roar came to an abrupt end. Swallowing it like a bolt, these 3 little monsters ran towards the direction of Saiyan and Remo's escape. "I'm dead." Brolly jumped up from a distance. Fell hard on the ground, smashing a big hole in the ground. He glanced at the broken limb on the ground and didn't pay any attention. Walk straight to the side and pick up the electric shock from the ground. Brolly squeezed it with a big hand and turned it into scrap metal. "It's good to die." Brolly's idea is this. Finally, freedom has been restored. Paragas is an obstacle for him. A very, very, very big obstacle. Even in an angry form, one needs to use the collar around their neck to suppress it. A ridiculous guy. I have no idea how terrifying the potential of passing on Super in the hall is. He actually had the idea of dealing with Paragas a long time ago. But no matter how much I dislike that guy. On DNA, after all, the other party is their own father. Brolly is not yet capable of personally taking action. The three little monsters this time are unlucky for him, otherwise we might join the Fleisan Legion together and maybe survive. Oh, not necessarily. If Fraser wants to unleash her potential, I will also kill Paragas. No matter what, it's hard to escape death. No solution. It's better to just die. Not having to die in any conspiracy is also a blessing. Moreover, Paragas's final action confirmed his intention not to save him. Perceiving one's own purpose, so wanting to retaliate against oneself. Hee. Brolly turned around and left, his aura exploding around him, leaving a big hole on the ground. He himself soared into the sky without any lingering attachment. Flying in the air, looking around. In no time, the figures of Saiyan and Remo were found. Brolly still needs them. There are not many shortcomings of the Saiyan people, and the most serious one is that they cannot survive in outer space. This makes it difficult for most Saiyans to engage in combat. Unless holding the mood of dying together with the other party. Otherwise, they wouldn't have thought about causing any huge and irreversible damage to the planet beneath them. Except for battles. Rushing is also very inconvenient. He cannot survive in space, so he cannot fly away from the planet Wampa. He can't pilot a spaceship either. We still need to use Saiyan and Remo. They didn't know what was going on, but they actually broke into the nest of the little monster. The little monsters chasing them have grown from 3 to dozens, hundreds. It's like a beast tide. If it were an ordinary person, it would be difficult to escape. A stunning crater like a 6-planet. The spaceship was bombed by you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hey. You too, stay away. Brolly let out a loud roar. Immediately after, he flew into the air, holding his right hand tightly and lifting it high, condensing a white energy ball about the size of a little finger. Immediately, throw the energy ball towards the center of the beast tide below. Shoo! At this moment, looking at the energy ball, Brolly suddenly felt that he had underestimated his strength. He didn't hesitate. Dive towards Saiyan and Remo at a faster speed than the energy ball. Like an eagle catching chicks, one by one, pick them up and fly into the air. Just right. The energy ball landed precisely in the middle of the beast tide. After an instant of silence. Firstly, a strong light flashed past, even surpassing the brightness of the star at one point. Then, the sound came. Boom. Bang. Boom boom. Finally, the energy contained in the energy ball exploded like a bomb. It's a long story. Actually, it's just an instant. Brolly, who was flying upwards, felt a strong sense of pushing his back, but was forcibly stabilized by him. That's a wave of air. Just this wave of energy, if he doesn't resist, he might be able to directly lift him into outer space. The terrifying aura swept across the entire planet of Wampa in an instant. The nearest batch of small monsters had already turned into ashes. All living creatures on the planet Wampa tremble and the sky suddenly changes. Just like the end of the world. Boom boom. A terrifying hurricane is blowing wildly. Accompanied by a loud and countless small noises, the energy ball directly shattered all living creatures and environments within tens of thousands of kilometers. The ground also fell into endless collapses. Wanpaxing was blown out of his head by this energy ball. Smoky and dusty atmosphere. When the smoke and dust dissipated, Brolly flew in the air and could only see a terrifying pit that was as deep as an abyss and could not be seen at a glance. The cold wind blew from high above, but his heart was filled with warmth. Hundreds of meters. Thousands of meters. Tens of thousands of meters. Or tens of thousands of kilometers. According to Broy's visual inspection. The hole he blasted out is already far larger than the size of Earth. You know, the diameter of the Earth is only 12,756 kilometers. This is also the giant planet of Wampa, but if it were to be replaced by another slightly smaller planet, it would have already cracked open. Of course, even Wampa Star is not comfortable. Except for the sinkhole, other parts of the planet have also been affected by aftershocks. Earthquakes caused by earthquakes, landslides caused by landslides, can be said to have been devastated, with countless deaths and injuries, just like the mass extinction of life. Fortunately, we managed to catch them up. Broy glanced at the two little dwarfs on his left and right hands, and let out a breath. His evaluation of his own strength is still a bit too low. Think about it too. A Vegeta with a combat power of 18,000 can destroy the Earth. Fraser, who had a combat power of 530,000, used a burst star bullet condensed from one finger to destroy the planet Vegeta. Moreover, he is the legendary Super Saiyan who was born with a combat power of 10,000 and has now exploded in popularity. You. Who are you? Tsilai and Remo finally came to their senses from the shock. Broy was not affected by the wave of air just now, the impact of the two of them was quite significant. With a disheveled and rustic face, my hairstyle has become like weeds. Even if it weren't for Broy taking the initiative to protect them, just blowing them would have killed them. Zlai stared blankly at the giant crater the size of a planet on the ground, swallowed a mouthful of saliva with difficulty, and couldn't help but ask. I'm Broy. Brolly replied expressionlessly. Are you Brolly? Tsilai widened his eyes and pointed to the ground, asking, did you do this? Actually, it's a bit of asking knowingly. There are only a few of them on this planet, besides him and Remo, who else could have done it? Brolly nodded and said, I made a mistake in estimating my own energy. I just wanted to get rid of the beast tide. In a plain tone, speak terrifying words. Absolutely outrageous. Upon hearing this, Tsilai's face twisted and he couldn't help but scream. In fact, she doesn't know how big this pit really is. Because it is too wide and too long, the edge and bottom of the huge pit cannot be seen at a glance. There is only a patch of black paint. But no matter what, this pit is big, 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 and can still be known. He did not speak at all. Remo, a veteran of the Fleisan Legion, was also shocked, but he was still able to calm down and think even though he did not reach the level of Zilai. Quietly turning his head, he pressed his single-dot-sided glasses like combat power detector. Dee-dee-dee-dee. The combat effectiveness detector instantly exploded and sounded a warning. Remo was startled and immediately picked it off, throwing it forward. Pong! A faint explosion sounded, and the combat effectiveness detector exploded directly. Burst. Burst watch. Remo struggled to swallow a mouthful of saliva. Even if there is already an estimate in mind. But I still feel extremely shocked. It's even more outrageous than the adults of the former Kinuta team of the Fleisan Legion. That's a combat effectiveness detector, right? Broy glanced at the pile of scrap iron that had fallen into the abyss pit, without any hesitation in his heart. In the late stage of Dragon Ball, combat power is no longer useful for truly strong individuals. Including him, even if it's just the norm, it's the same. Tsilai, however, was just as shocked as Remo. You're so strong, why did you save me? Where was that old man with white hair just now? He's dead. Broy said calmly, I saved you all because I wanted you to help me take Wampa Star away. I'm dead. Tsilai and Remo had already anticipated in their hearts, so they were not particularly surprised. Although the other party seems to be Broy's father, did you just say that you want us to help you take Wampa Star away? But our spaceship has already been bombed by you, right below it, probably turned into ash. Can you take us to the land first? It's too high, I'm a bit afraid, said Tsilai, pointing to Tianyuan, which was so intimidating just by looking at it. May I ask for flowers, evaluation tickets, and monthly tickets? If you have time, you can leave a message in the book review section. Thank you very much. Take me away from Wampa Star, and I will join Fraser. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sly said. Without any hesitation, he hung his entire body on Brawley's sturdy arm. Embracing in an embrace, with legs hooked around the waist. It does look very scared. Although the little old man Remo didn't say anything. Still in the posture carried by Broglie. But obviously, it's the same as Tsilai's idea. Afraid. I don't know how many meters high it is, but there is still a huge abyss below that cannot be seen to the end. It's pitch black, like a demon's big mouth. And you can't see the edges at a glance, you can't see the land, and the surroundings are full of this kind of scene. The three of them appeared incredibly small. Brolly sighed. Bang! The flames exploded, enveloping the two and then transforming into a white light, disappearing into mid-air. His speed was very fast, and in no time he crossed a distance of tens of thousands of kilometers and arrived at the end of the Tianyuan giant pit. That place was still on land a few minutes ago. Now it's like the cliffs of a cliff. Tsilai and Remo were put down by Brolly. Both of them have already been made to have acrophobia without fear of heights. At the moment they stepped on the land, Tsilai and Remo couldn't help but collapse to the ground, their hands propped up on the ground, their heads raised, and they looked up at the sky, as if they had been reborn. They breathed in hunger and gasped for breath. You two came flying a spaceship, right? Broglie also landed and asked with a strange expression on his face. Yeah, what's wrong? Remo hesitated for a moment and replied. Why are you afraid of heights? Broglie became even more puzzled and asked. At that moment, Tsilai's fist hardened. She stood up from the ground, waved her little fist, and shouted, Can it be the same? Can piloting a spaceship be the same as this? At this point, she also pointed to the abyss. The crater the size of a planet is endless, and when you look at it, it's all pitch black. No matter where you look, it's the same. If it were you, wouldn't you be afraid? Broglie sat on a stone, his hands on his left and right legs, shrugged, and said, I'm not afraid. Joking with his physical fitness. If you fall from outer space, you won't get hurt. Moreover, not being able to see Tsilai and Remo does not mean he cannot see. Just like ordinary humans standing on a step. What is there to be afraid of? You. Tsilai really wants to hit someone now. Why is speaking so infuriating? Upon seeing this, Remo quickly waved his hands in front of her, his face covered in cold sweat. We cannot generalize from person to person. Mr. Broly's words also make sense, and they make sense. There is a knitting principle. Remo just didn't want Sly to go up, which angered the opponent and made them send them another energy ball. As an old fogey who has been in the Fleisan Legion since the generation of Freisa's father, there is still a clear distinction between emotional control and its pros and cons. Under Remo's persuasion, Sly finally only clenched his fist and weakly let go. Ah, you're amazing, you're right. Broglie nodded and said, I can't be wrong either. You. Forget it. Get back to the point. Okay, get back to the point. Broglie squinted his eyes and looked at the two of them. What are you doing here on Wampa Star? Tsilai and Remo exchanged a glance and said in unison, because of that old man with white hair's distress signal, don't you know? Our Fleisan Legion is searching for combat members with high combat effectiveness. When we arrived nearby, we received a distress signal from the old man's spaceship, and then we arrived. Broglie's expression shattered, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. He pretended to be serious and said, I accidentally forgot, I'm sorry. Seelai keenly sensed this situation. It was as if I had found something fun, and a slight smile rose from the corner of my mouth. Constantly darting around Brolly, observing him. Look at this, look at that. From time to time, he would poke the exposed muscles of Brolly. It's really sturdy. Brolly rolled his eyes and waved his big hand, grabbing Seelai and then letting her straighten her. Speaking seriously. Take me away from Wampa Star. Seelai rolled his eyes, stretched out his hands, and tidied up his white short hair, saying, the spaceship has been bombed by you and there is no ash left. We can only send out a distress signal and wait for the other spaceships of the Fleisan Legion. How to seek help? How long will it take? I don't know, I just joined the Fleisan Legion not long ago, you ask Remo. Brolly turned his gaze to Remo. Remo quickly jumped up and pointed at Seelai, saying, our combat effectiveness detector is the latest model, which includes the function of contacting other Legion members and seeking help. Although mine was blown up, Seelai's is still there. In terms of time, I don't know either, because Wampa Star is relatively remote and it may take some time to arrive. Brolly patted his forehead and said, as long as someone can receive it, let them come as soon as possible. Don't you need to urgently recruit some members with high combat power? I can join. Ah. Remo widened his eyes and said happily, your combat power is so high. If Lord Fraser knew about it, he would definitely be very happy. As he spoke, he took off Seelai's combat effectiveness detector. Start connecting signals to other members of the Fleisan Legion, and then initiate a distress call. Hello, hello. Take advantage of this opportunity. Brolly approached Seelai and asked, what is the purpose of the Fleisan Legion searching for combat members with high combat effectiveness? 4 months ago, Lord Fraser was resurrected by Lord Salb and his companions, and it is said that he wanted to seek revenge against the saints who killed him. During these 4 months, Lord Fraser was both practicing and conscribing, saying that he would soon be heading to Earth. A pervert like you with extremely high combat power should be the main force invading Earth, and Remo and I are not combat personnel, explained Seelai with his hands on his hips, thank you, ***, for your 100 VIP reward. I really don't know how you perverts practice. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What? You said Fraser was resurrected 4 months ago. How did he resurrect? Brolly was slightly taken aback and quickly grabbed Seelai's arms, nervously asking. He couldn't help but not be nervous. This is a question related to the timeline of my current situation. Seelai's arms were grabbed and he felt a bit sore. He frowned and softly shouted, what are you doing? It hurts. Ah, sorry, Brolly saw the situation and quickly put it down. Seelai fell to the ground, rubbed his arms, and could not help roast, I really don't know how you perverts practice to this extent. I can't do it. Brolly saw this and said, as long as you practice seriously, you can still make such a big hole. Speaking, he also pointed to the distance. This is not nonsense. It should be noted that as a purebred earthling, Klin's combat power in the later stage is guaranteed to start at several 100,000. I don't know how many people in the entire universe have been beaten. Not to mention anything else. It can still be easily achieved by learning the early stage of the 18,000 combat effectiveness of the Vujita to blow up the Earth. It's just unnecessary and I won't do it either. Is it not enough to be an alien wandering in the universe? Practice. I can't do it. Seelai shook his head fiercely and said, don't you want to know how Fraser was resurrected? To be honest, I'm not very sure. I only heard that Lord Salb went to get some beads to resurrect him. Time. 4 months ago, Lord Fraser also began conscription and reorganized the Fleisan Legion. After listening to what Seelai said, Brolly's eyes kept flickering. What beads? That's where dreams start. Dragon Ball. He can now basically confirm that his timeline is not in the theatrical version. After all, Frieza in the theatrical version was resurrected by Wes because he performed well in the power conference. It seems that coming from time to time doesn't have no impact. Ultimately, it still caused the butterfly effect. As for what timeline it is on, it should be the resurrected Fraser chapter after the Dragon Ball Super God and Divine chapter. And the plot is about to start. Broglie might be able to hitchhike directly to Earth. He looked at Sly and asked curiously, "Why did you join the Fleisan Legion?" "Because I stole a galactic patrol spaceship. As long as I join the Fleisan Legion, they won't dare to arrest me." Sly paused for a moment and chuckled, looking very proud. It is indeed similar to Broglie's conjecture. Sly and Remo have basically not changed, only the timeline has been pushed forward. Despite doing something bad, being able to be so happy. Broglie could not resist roast. "Bad woman. Hello. Do you still want us to take you away from Wampa Star?" said Sly. His eyes widened and his hands inserted into his waist. "Remo's distress signal has been sent out, and even without you, the members of the Fleisan Legion will still see my high combat power and take me away." Broglie's thinking was meticulous, and he naturally replied. At this point, Raymer had successfully issued a distress signal. I smiled awkwardly. Sly also understood that what Broglie said was right. She snorted coldly, "Anyway, we only came after receiving a distress signal. How could you not recognize your benefactor like this?" Without hesitation, Broglie clasped his hands together and bowed, humbly saying, "Yes, I was wrong. You are the great benefactor. Actually, if we want to keep going like this, there are still those who say. For example, small monsters and so on." But Broglie doesn't want to continue to entangle with Sly. Seeing this, Sai nodded in satisfaction and said, not bad. I forgive your rudeness." Brolly shook his head and let out a breath. In this way, the three of them fell into a mysterious silence. Until someone's stomach makes a sound. Goo-goo. Broglie's ears are extremely sharp. I immediately recognized it as Sly. Faced with Broglie's gaze, Sly awkwardly scratched his head, pretended to hum a song, and his gaze flickered. The spaceship has been bombed, the supplies are gone, and it's normal to be hungry. "Remo, are you hungry?" Remo's reflexive response was, "I'm hungry." "Okay. I'll go find food, you guys wait here." Brolly stood up and stomped on the ground with a bang sound, instantly stomping out a huge pit with a diameter of 10 meters on the ground. He then shot towards the distance, disappearing in the blink of an eye, leaving only the wind generated by the aftershocks raging wildly. Schley arranged his short white hair, which had been blown out of order again, and roast. This is really a pervert. No wonder the combat power can explode. If it weren't for my short hair, it would be troublesome. Remo chuckled and sat on the ground, looking very optimistic as he said, "How could it be possible to live on such a bad planet without being a bit abnormal or lacking in combat effectiveness? Do you think so?" Also. Sly nodded in agreement. Although Broglie's abnormality is a bit beyond the limit. Soon, Brolly returned, holding 2 huge eggs in his hand. Here you go." Sly was already starving and immediately knocked on the egg to taste it. "And then, Someone has raised questions about the protagonist's behavior and said that I am against the heavens, so I will answer them. Do you think the protagonist can go to the chat group to exchange for flying abilities? Firstly, the protagonist can fly, but what he lacks is the ability to be in outer space. Of course it's possible to exchange, but he doesn't have any points. You also said that you can complete the task first before redeeming. Is it not clear enough? It will only start tomorrow, and it's useless for the protagonist to go now. Secondly, how many points are required for the ability to survive in outer space, and can the protagonist be replaced? Do you really think joining the Fleisan Legion is really joining? Don't take everything for granted. I can think of everything you can. Why use points in chat groups to solve such an easy problem? I haven't seen this type of handsome guy in a long time. You are listening at novel full.audio. She couldn't help but spit it out on the ground and said, why is it so unpleasant? Saiyan's reaction also made Remo, who was preparing to take a bite, stop his hand. Brolly was not surprised by this, his hands inserted into his waist, and his bronze-colored muscles shone brightly in the sunlight. There is nothing else on this planet, only this one. If you can eat, you can eat. If you don't eat, you can only starve to death, he said. Saiyan opened his mouth wide, his face full of embarrassment, and there was also a hint of pity in his gaze towards Brolly. Oh my God, how did this guy get through decades? Don't worry, after returning to the main spaceship, I will definitely let you have some delicious food. Brolly gave her a strange glance. Mother's love is rampant, is this? However, Brolly did not refute Xli either. I can't tell him I'm a traveler, I've eaten anything delicious before. This is the biggest secret of his life. No matter how close the person is, it's impossible to say. Facing the silent Brolly, Saiyan seemed to have misunderstood something, and his voice softened a bit. Come on, let's eat together. You two eat first. Brolly shook his head and said, I have a big appetite. These are not enough. I will look for them later when I'm hungry. No one should question the appetite of the Saiyan people, right? Not to mention him. This egg is half the size of a person. But it's not enough for him to fill his stomach. If he eats with Saiyan and Remo, these two may not have enough to eat. Hear Brolly's words. Saiyan and Remo both expressed their understanding. It is indeed normal for practitioners to have a large appetite. So they honestly started eating the egg they had been given. Eating while chatting with Brolly. Well, let me formally introduce myself. My name is Sly and his name is Remo. What about you? Hello, my name, shouldn't you already know it? I know, but this is a formal self-introduction. Sigh. My name is Brolly, Sly, Remo, hello. Hello, just argue and eat like this. As their relationship grew closer, the sky gradually darkened. Fortunately, Brolly is very familiar with the planet Wampa. Taking the two of them to a cave, they made some straw and used it as a bed and blanket, barely making it through the night. Remo, when will the rescue arrive? The fastest is tomorrow, and the slowest is the day after tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Well, go to sleep. Good night. ×2 On the first night of his journey, Brolly was not alone. The next morning, Brolly woke up early and went out to search for monster eggs. And on the way, the Wujita chat group suddenly received news about E.T. Valkyrie. At the legendary Super Saiyan, the fairy tale is about to begin, you can come over first. The legendary Super Saiyan. Got it. Brolly directly put down the two monster eggs in his hand. Go to the task interface and click on transfer. The dimensional shuttle begins. A brilliant radiance gradually enveloped Brolly. Feeling the wonder of shuttling through the world, he squinted slightly. 3, 2, 1, spatial fluctuations caused Brolly to disappear into place. Just as Brolly travels through time and space. Within the Wujita chat group. The strongest hero on the surface. Are we going to start fighting? Valkyrie. Yes, I don't know who the gods will choose to be a fighter. Blood red chili pepper. Suddenly so nervous, Brolly doesn't know if he can win. Chinyan which absinthe. Losing is equivalent to death, right? Valkyrie. That's right, the legend of Fairyland is a life and death battle. I'm not the school flower. Is it convenient for live streaming? It's not the same thing, just wait. Valkyrie. Okay. Group member Valkyrie starts live streaming. I am not the school flower. Enter the live broadcast room. Thousand-faced witch absinthe, enter the live broadcast room. The strongest hero on the surface, enter the live broadcast room. Blood red chili peppers, enter the live broadcast room. As soon as they entered the live broadcast room, everyone saw the heroic and beautiful Valkyrie Brunhild. Blood red chili pepper. Wow, Sister Hilda, so beautiful. Chinyan witch absinthe. Especially those eyes, they are so beautiful. The strongest hero on the surface. After all, no matter what, Miss Hilda is also a deity, with great charm. Brunhild looked at the words praising himself in the chat group of Wanjia. A slight smile appeared on his face and he calmly replied, absolutely praised, everyone. Blood red chili pepper. There's no such thing as praise. Sister Hilda is really beautiful. I am not the school belle. Don't be humble, the group members are all sincere praises, just accept them. The strongest hero on the surface. Speaking of gods, why haven't you seen them? Brunhild explained, the gods and humans are both in the outside audience, we'll see them later. While chatting with everyone in the group, a sudden light curtain appeared beside her. A young man emerged from inside, revealing his upper body muscles, his face and body covered in scars, and his waist covered in green fur. Hello, are you a Valkyrie? Brolly looked at the tall goddess in front of him. Yes. Brunhild was slightly stunned when he saw the extremely rough Brolly, but he nodded and said, you are the legendary Super Saiyan in the group. Brolly nodded and extended his right hand, hello, my name is Brolly. Hello, my name is Brunhild. Brunhild also extended his hand. The two of them held each other tightly. Brolly, who looked extremely rough, was somewhat surprised by his politeness. Meanwhile, in the Wanjia chat group. Blood red chili pepper. Ah, Brolly is also a handsome guy. The strongest hero on the surface. It's a kind of handsome, wild and different from gentleman. Chinyan witch absinthe. I haven't seen this type of handsome guy for a long time, I like, Tian snake head. JPG.